Hey, what's going on everybody? Justin here, and in this video I just want to share my September TBR, which consists of about a dozen or so books, and a lot of them are dealing with the Science Reading Challenge, which is a reading event that I'm hosting, which is all about reading works of science nonfiction from, well, basically today, September 1 through the rest of the year, and each month or so is going to have a different theme. I got a Discord, a link down below too if you enjoy that sort of stuff. We got buddy reads kind of going on, different book recommendations and suggestions, and other combos kind of going on as well. But yeah, so September is dealing with natural history and biology, zoology, botany, all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, just because that's my favorite sort of thing, so we're probably going to be like doubling up on that at some point and everything. But I do have a couple of books that I'll go through first that don't quite fit the theme per se, but let's just go ahead and get started. Now, these first three I'm not going to talk about because I just talked about them in my previous video, which are the three books that I'm currently reading. So if you want to check those out, definitely check that video as well. But we got Polis by John Ma, which is just a giant, awesome history of the concept and evolution of the Greek city-state. We got Byung-Chul Han, A Critical Introduction. And this is all about introducing the reader to the works and thoughts of the South Korean German philosopher Byung-Chul Han. And then this one actually is a good science read for the month. We got The Gene and Intimate History by Siddhartha Mukherjee. And this one's been really good so far, and we are doing a buddy read. I think we got 4 of us so far, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun over the course of September. So like I said, if you want to hear more about those, I had a whole video just on those 3, but I do have one more that's not quite science per se, but I thought it fit pretty well with the whole, I guess, intellectual thinking, scientific thinking, and it's Good Thinking, Why Flawed Logic Puts Us All at Risk and How Critical Thinking Can Save the World by David Robert Grimes. And this is just like a really, actually pretty dense book on, I guess, just sort of logical thinking. It does deal with a few different kind of like logical fallacies, but the main thrust of the book is actually kind of interpreting like what headspaces are good to be in for logical thinking, pointing out flaws and other people's reasoning and that sort of thing, but not necessarily just fallacies. Lots of different studies, but tons and tons of historical anecdotes, just from like when I was like flipping through and whatnot. I think I've read the first 2 chapters or so far, just because I've been on a bender of like logic books and thinking books after reading Think by Sven Brinkman. Just really enjoyed this. This was just like kind of a really, I don't even know how you put this, just a really kind of poetic, thoughtful, just like giant essay. It's not too long, I think it's only about 120 pages or so, just on the whole idea of thoughtfulness and why like being a critical thinker and being a reflective thinker is just healthy and great and awesome. So yeah, if that sounds good, definitely check that one out as well. So now let's go on to some of the science ones that I picked out specifically, I guess, for this month. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first up is one that I recently picked up. It's called The Canon, a whirligig tour of the beautiful basics of science by Natalie Angier. And this was I gotta do a book haul video about a really lovely bookstore that I always go to when I'm on like a road trip downstate and everything. But I picked this up for like $3 or $4, and I had never heard of it before, but apparently each chapter is just dealing with a different scientific discipline, and just kind of giving you the whirligig tour of whatever science that is. So you got calibration, physics, chemistry, evolutionary biology, molecular biology, geology, astronomy, and then an introductory one are probabilities and one on thinking scientifically. And I just thought this would be like an excellent kind of first book, just a first primer, I guess, on the science reading challenge, just because it's kind of like a little introduction on just kind of like the greatest hits of a whole bunch of different scientific disciplines. I did like the cover, and I like the, just the title, The Canon, the scientific canon. I just thought it was pretty cool, but like I said, don't know any much about it other than the price is right, and it seemed to fit perfectly for what I wanted. And then kind of on a similar vein, kind of more of a general science kind of book is we got Richard Dawkins' Books Do Furnish a Life, Reading and Writing Science. And I did receive this one as a Christmas present a while ago, It is an autographed one, so that's pretty neat. I don't have too many. I got about a dozen autographed books or so. So we can flip that open right there. But yeah, I actually haven't read a Richard Dawkins book, which is probably kind of weird considering like half my reading is nature, natural history, biology, life science kind of stuff. But I do have a Follow Society of the Blind Watchmaker over there that I probably should get to as well. But what this is like just kind of the transcription of a bunch of really in-depth interviews that Richard Dawkins conducted with a bunch of other scientists, and I just thought that was just a really, I guess, interesting thing. I don't know. It just sounded really cool. So let's see, the first one, for example, is Neil deGrasse Tyson, obviously dealing with space and astronomy, all that kind of stuff. We got Adam Hart Davis, Steven Pinker, Christopher Hitchens, Lawrence Krauss, and Matt Ridley, which I think is a pretty famous evolutionary biologist. So I think it's just going to be quite interesting. So each interview has got to be around 60-70 pages. So they're not just like little snippets. It's like, you know, really good like debates and conversations and stuff. And I thought this one would be kind of neat as well, just kind of being a primer on a whole bunch of different kind of subjects and everything. You got physics, cosmology, biology in there. So sociology and stuff with Steven Pinker as well. So anyways, like I said, I just thought it'd be kind of a cool, those two combined would just be kind of a nice introductory primer for going into the science reading challenge. Next up, we have Jane Goodall, Seeds of Hope, Wisdom and Wonder from the World of Plants. I have only read one other book by Jane Goodall, but I don't watch too much YouTube per se outside of BookTube and everything. But Jane Goodall is one that pops up like occasionally like in my algorithm stuff. I feel like she's just a really eloquent, just down to earth, like humble speaker in person and everything. And I just love her. Not only just her science, obviously, with her research of the chimpanzees and Gombe and stuff, but also her humanitarian efforts with her Roots and Shoots program. I just think is just top notch. Just really enjoy her stuff. So figured I should just like read some more of her works. I don't know what's going on with me. And this is sort of like not just a science book, but it's also sort of a love letter, you know, to the world's flora. I just thought that was kind of cool. One of the quotes on the back here I thought was pretty interesting, if I can find it. It says, "She has cultivated that way of being in and with nature that E.O. Wilson had in mind when he coined the word biophilia." And I thought that was just a really cool thing. Though the book is steeped in science, Goodall's feelings for the plants are spiritual, and her concern for their fate in the modern world is forthrightly political. So it's going to be kind of dealing, I think, with probably destructive agriculture, deforestation, I'm sure, habitat loss, that sort of thing. But anyways, like I said, I just really enjoyed Jane Goodall, and it's been a long time since I've read any of her stuff, so might as well give it a go. Next up is another one where I got the Canon. I got another book there for a couple dollars, and it's Naming Nature, The Clash Between Instinct and Science by Carol Kasuk Yoon. And I don't know anything about this one either, but I just thought it was really cool. This Ernst Haeckel plate that's on the cover here is one of his hummingbird ones. I have another book that I recently just finished this month with the exact same plate, so I was like, you know, is that a coincidence? I don't know. I figured I should pick it up and everything. I'll probably talk about origin story at some point too. That one kind of is like tangential. That's kind of a history of the writing and publication of Darwin's On the Origin of Species, which I think definitely kind of fits like in that kind of like science, even though it's like historical science and everything. I think that one fits quite well. I don't know too much about this one. All I know, just from like kind of flipping through it and reading the back and stuff, it's all about kind of the conflict, I guess, between like the field scientists, the research scientists, and taxonomists. Which sounds kind of interesting in a way, just because taxonomy has changed tons over the years, where in the beginning, you know, with Linnaeus and, you know, several generations, actually probably like a century after, well, actually two centuries, I'm too lazy to edit that out. It was all based on kind of just like the outward appearance, the anatomical features, morphological features and everything, whereas now in the past like couple of generations, like genetic genetic testing and basically analyses of the genomes have been able to like definitively show like certain species are more closely related than we thought they were, and a lot of different things have had to be changed quite a bit as far as like taxonomic groupings and things like that. So I assume that's going to be dealt with. Probably like the whole like war between lumpers and splitters, which are people that try to put different genes and species together under like one umbrella, or splitting into like multiple different species, multiple different genera and stuff. But anyways, like I said, I don't know too much about it, but I thought it looked good and it sounded interesting. And I'm always interested when I see like a book that has like completely flown under my radar and I've never even heard of it. Usually like a lot of with like the like nature and science books, I've at least like hopefully like I've heard about a lot of them and stuff. So I usually pick them up when I literally have absolutely no clue what's going on. That's kind of the beauty of a bunch of used bookstores as well, especially when they're really nice and curated and stuff. Next up, and kind of along with the origin story here, I was sent origin story from W.W. Norton and Company, and they were kind enough to send me a care package of 3 different science books. So I couldn't wait on origin story for whatever reason. I just was too eager for that one to wait till Science September. But they also sent me 2 more books, and this first one here is When the Ice is Gone by Paul Bierman. What a Greenland ice core reveals about Earth's tumultuous history and perilous future. I've read several books on melting ice. You know, I think I've read a book called At the End of, was it When the Ice Melts, or The End of Ice? That one was really good. That was a long time ago. But I think this would be like my 3rd or 4th book, though I don't think I've ever one specifically on like Greenland ice cores. I've read a bunch of like vignettes and other science books where they kind of talk about it a little bit, but it's kind of interesting. I guess the whole concept of drilling really far down to pull out a core sample, you know, thousands of feet below the surface, and kind of doing analyses and everything. So I kind of want to learn more about that, and definitely this is going to be one of the, I'm going to guess it's going to be one of those gloom and doom. Granted, a lot of these are probably going to have like gloom and doom, like the, you know, the Jane Goodall one and stuff especially. But yeah, you can just tell when the ice is gone. I don't know too much about it. I've never heard of the author before, though I have seen his picture somewhere. I don't know where. I do recognize him from something. I don't know if it's maybe like on YouTube or something like that. I have seen his face, so that was kind of interesting as well. But like I said, I've never read a book specifically on like Greenland ice cores. Kind of hoping to learn more about how that process like actually works, as far as like how the analyses and different things are kind of performed and everything. I think that's kind of been like a kind of like a mini quest I've been on this year, is reading about like the actual like taking different things, whether it's like fossils or whatever, to the laboratory, and like what tools do you actually use on them to kind of get new information from and stuff like that. And then the other one W.W. Norton Company sent me was The Great River, The Making and Unmaking of the Mississippi by Boyce Upholt. And this is going to be both a natural history and a kind of human cultural history of the Mississippi River in North America, which, you know, one of the probably the most important waterway that we have, especially for like distance and that sort of thing. So I think it's just going to be a cool blend of like the flora, fauna, geology of the river, kind of over the different historical epochs, and then also, you know, how humans have utilized it from the indigenous peoples down to the current day. And I'm going to guess there's going to be a lot of gloom and doom as well. I have read other books. I've read a book on carp. I think it's called Overrun. I can't remember if I still have that one. About carp in the Mississippi River, and yeah, it's just pretty crazy. So I think it's gonna be kind of fun, just like I said, learning about I always like a good blend of science with like another subject. So I think this one's gonna fit the ticket for that quite well. And then we got two more books that I'm super excited for. We got first The Life of Birds by David Attenborough, which apparently just like recently had a new edition, which is kind of why I like thought of it, though I've had this one for quite some time. This one I might listen to an audiobook format while I read it, as long as it's the same thing. Like I said, there is like a new edition or something, I'm not 100% sure, as long as the text is the same, because David Attenborough narrates this one, so I think it's just going to be really fun to kind of flip through it, read it, and then also like listen to him like while he does it. Lots of great photographs and that sort of thing all throughout, like all these kind of, I guess it's not really a coffee table book per se, but it's, you know, it's kind of like on the verge, kind of getting there. But it's going to be packed full of good information, but tons of amazing photographs as well. So really looking forward to that. You can always enjoy a good nature book when it's got great photographs and plates and everything like that. And then lastly is a book I received for Father's Day, and it's Jimmy Sayen's Children of the Northern Forest, While New England's History from Glaciers to Global Warming. And I've been kind of like, once I decided to do the readathon, I decided to make this like kind of like, you know, in the first month here. And this is all about New England forests. And then for those who don't know, I do live in the middle of the woods in Maine, basically. So yeah, that's just a topic just really near and dear to my heart. And yeah, it's just gonna be kind of fun learning about all the flora and fauna. Though apparently, like, this author pulls no punches. He's been arrested for some of his like activism work when he disagrees with certain things, such as when I read about him, when the warden service basically rotodomed a giant lake, which is when you pull out all the oxygen to kill all the fish so you can like start over. Usually that's done because of people unfortunately put invasive species or non-indigenous species like in a water system, and they're trying to protect it. But he apparently, you know, the warden services occasionally do it to encourage sport fishing so they can kill the native stuff and put, you know, sport fish like smallmouth bass or largemouth bass, things like that, into it. And yeah, he got arrested for some of his activism work, I guess, in protest of that. I'll let you guys do your own research on some of it, but apparently he knows his chops, but he's also not afraid to walk the walk either. So I think it's just going to be a really fun book. Just look at that cover as well with the mother lynx and her little lynx cub. I've been fortunate enough to see lynx once for sure, out in the wild and everything, and then potentially, you know, I can't be 100% sure if it was a lynx or a bobcat from like a certain distance and stuff. But anyways, I think this will be a really fun one as well. And like I said, it just hits home quite well. I think I just said well like 3 times. Anyways, there's about a dozen books that I plan on reading. Definitely probably won't get to all of them. Actually, it's got to be more than a dozen books if I count the other ones and stuff. Anyways, let me know if you will be participating in the Science Reading Challenge, whether that's in the biology month of September or the rest of the months throughout the end of the year. Doesn't always have to be like, you know, on topic. It's super chill and relaxed. You know, as long as you're reading science, nonfiction, I will be happy. If you got any science book recommendations, leave them down below as well. And whether you're reading science or not, always remember, read victoriously.